My name is Gwendolyn Jones. I'm from Freeport, Texas, born and raised in Freeport, Texas. My name of my organization is Climate Conversation, Brazoria County. Well, Climate Conversation found me. Our property was being taken from the East End through eminent domain, where I had wanted to retire and stayed on the family land to retire and live there. And the port was taking our property. So I met Adrian Shelley. He's an EPA attorney, and he told me he would help me with an eminent domain. In the meanwhile, he wanted me to meet Stephanie Thomas, and from meeting her, she came down. They had different people to come to the area, and I was taking around Freeport, and I realized that what was normal to me was abnormal to them. And what I was seeing was we was living in a very toxic area, whereas it was a cancer cluster area. And I realized that all the industries that we had in the neighborhood, all of my life, they never should have been in the neighborhood. We was exposed to those chemicals, less than my parents and all the people in the neighborhood. I remember my father having health issues. I'm having to run down to Freeport, pick my daddy up, take him to the emergency room. Same thing with my mother. See my father die. Knowing all the health issues my mother has. When I was born, I had health issues. Thinking about my loved ones, people in the neighborhood, when we never had cancer before. Cancer became something that we never heard of back in the 70s, I want to say, something new. And I started thinking about all the years where when we live off the land, we was able to drink the water. We no longer could drink the water. The food wasn't the same. And I thought about the house we live in. We had fans in the window, or the window was always up, in the summertime. And when the plant had explosions, all of that was coming inside the house. Thought about as a child how we walk outside with no shoes on. It flooded in the neighborhood. When it flooded in the neighborhood, we was walking through the neighborhood. We even tried swimming in the water, not realizing that all of that was toxic. And I also realized that it was by design that these industries we was placed in the communities where it was the most toxic, where the sulfur plant was already there, and from that Stafford Chemical, the port, and then Dow, and it's just expanded. One thing I learned is that I feel like climate conversation, environmental justice, it's my ministry. It's something that is inside of me, inside not just Freeport, but Brazoria County, because we all are breathing pretty much the same air, drinking pretty much the same water. We all going through illnesses. We all are dying. And the rate when I was coming up, when I was in high school, it was like we would see 3 deaths at a time, and then we go a long period of time without anyone dying. Now, it's every week. It chose me because when I look at my family, my parents, my aunties, my uncles, my loved ones, my friends, neighbors, the community as a whole, we are dying and we are getting sicker. See my grandson have an asthma attack, 3 years old, and I'm driving the car, I had to pull over. It chose me because this is sort of like a Hurricane 5, because I grew up on the Gulf Coast. And It's emergency to understand why we are dying. We're not healthier, we are sicker, and we are steady dying at the hands of industries. The advice I would give is to take your pain, take the suffering, and turn it into our gain to fight against them. And I say them, it's industries, because they know what they've done to us. They know we're telling the truth. They know they did not say a word to us. And all along, they even advertised that they were environmental friendly. Even in school, high school, vocational ed, they make the job sound so brilliant, but it's not. And then when they did have explosions, they would always say that the explosion never left the facility area. It's in the air, and we believe in what they said, felt like that was true. But realizing that air do not stay in one place. The wind blows, and it goes down into the soil, it goes into the water, and all it does is spread. So every day when they're releasing those toxic chemicals, and you talk about, like when Dow was saying 85 years of releasing toxic chemicals. That is a lot in a community that is so small, whereas you never admitted to anything as far as the exposure to the people, less than done anything to reverse all these toxic chemicals in the air, which causing us to be sicker. So now we are born with health issues. And you got babies that are dying, and it just constantly, it's just getting worse and worse. So the lifespan really is getting shorter. The struggles to me is from starting a grassroots organization, is mobilizing and getting people educated. That's the biggest struggle, because Missouri County is a big county. I know I have a heart to do all of this here, because it has to be done, because it takes the people to turn it around. And it takes that one voice out of all of these people in this county or whatever, anywhere that could be located, to have that voice to make a change. And that could be the turning point of stopping these plants and get them to admit what they have done and to take their responsibility as far as giving us health care, providing for all our needs, taking care of the community, doing whatever it would take in order to revitalize Missouri County again. Because it's not just Freeport, it's Missouri County, what industry just bombarded. And because I want everybody to know that we're all in this together. We all in this together. I don't want anyone to feel like you don't fit in. Everyone fit in. And that's, to me, the power is whenever we all come together and we know that we are one, unified as one, no matter where we came from, what race we are, what size we are, what income we are in this together. And if we come in this together, there's nothing that can stop us. There's nothing too impossible to change. Nothing. I think I had I don't look at it weird. I think it's a blessing. Whereas I was able to put people together. That was something. And I felt like it was going to be much harder, but it wasn't, because we understand one another. And when you from a community, you all from the same family and whatever, but you know one another, and you know how to communicate with one another to get them to understand. And we had TCQ had given us a public meeting with Chevron Phillips in January for our permit. And then we have another with Chevron Phillips at the end of May. And then we have two with Dow. One is with Orchard Creek Division, and the next with Dow Chemical, Freeport, Texas. So anyway, I'm glad to hit. Both those areas are dear to me, because even though my parents live in Freeport, my dad is from Swinney, and Phillips was right down the road. And it was people living next to the plant. And it's a high rate, even though it's a small town, one light. They had one grocery store that's gone now. But the plant is enormous. And the people are surrounded by this plant, whereas it's causing all kind of health problems. And now I understand the health problems what they are going through, or they have been. My aunts and uncles and my grandparents have gone through, my loved ones, they're going through over there the same thing we going through in Freeport. And when my uncle went to the doctor in Swinney, when he left, he had a heart attack. So, you know, and then there was cancer. It was one after another, but then to understand that, and I remember when I was young, my aunts used to have this cylinder on wheels, and I didn't understand what was that used for, that because she can breathe. We just didn't know. So anyway, but it's the same story that repeats itself. My vision for Brazoria County, that we would stand up and rise and start speaking truth to power. From the pulpit, from the school, everywhere we go, we are just talking about this here and organizing and fighting for change, because that change only comes whenever we come together. That's when change comes. And when we come together, our ages, our races, when we all come together in unity and fighting for the same cause, and we all are suffering. We all are going through this here. And I feel like the season is ripe for a change. The thing to it is that, and that's why you call them wind, I call it a blessing. Whereas I want the people to know that your voice matters. It's not no one person, it's an organization. The organization comes together as one, no matter where you came from, and we fight together. No one is never alone. We always fight together, and I always let them know that I love them no matter what, because I do care about them, and I want everybody to know they are just as important than anyone else, because nothing doesn't last always. That gives me hope. When I think about my mama said, there's always a beginning and an ending. And she said it might look like they are getting by, but evil never wins. To know that we don't have to be afraid to speak out. We don't have to be afraid of who hears us or what other people think. When you speak truth to power, it doesn't matter, because by the conviction of what you're saying inside your heart, that's all this person needs to know.